Hello, Paula.
Hello, Peter.
How are you doing?
Good, sweating. Very hot here. 36 degrees in
Oh,
the shade.
wow.
Yeah.
In the shade. Wow. Yeah. Whew.
Yeah. We are melting. And yeah, but from tomorrow it goes down a little bit to 30. Yeah. And you?
Yeah, good. Um, it's warmed up. At the end of the last class, you said you hope I would warm up a bit because I was wearing a
Yeah.
woolen
I sent
sweater.
you some heat. I
Yeah,
sent you
I
some.
got it. Yeah, nice.
Actually, in my room I have aircon, so I'm lucky.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, have any questions come up from what we covered either last time or in the recent classes, or any other things that you'd like to share?
No, it's just sad that most people don't participate in the classes.
Yeah, yeah, we haven't had a lot of participation live recently. That would be nice. Um, hmm,
Hmm.
okay. Last time we were reading parts of the verses of Idai Kuchitar Siddha, Siddha Idai Kuchitar, also known as Idai Kadar. And in the Portuguese group, I'm not sure that I've shared the link to the Portuguese group, but I'll do that so that you can also access the recordings of the teacher training in the Portuguese group. Even for those of you that are not so fluent in Portuguese, you can on YouTube take the option of going for the translation into English, and it's pretty good at doing that. And in recent classes, both here in the English group and in the Portuguese group, I've been doing some readings of verses of the Siddhas. And so I'm also trying not to do exactly the same readings when I do readings in both groups. And that way you can get complementary information. You know, you can reference each other's classes and get, let's say, additional content that way. One thing that I also shared in the Portuguese group relating to that is a chart from the book that I've been reading from, the Yoga of the 18 Siddhas. This one that's pictured behind me here. There is a chart in one of the appendices that shows the list of the 18 Siddhas, their places of samadhi, their guru or gurus, and their disciples, and their main contributions that they're known for. And that's one way of getting a kind of overview of the tradition. If you're familiar with some of the siddhas mentioned there, it gives you a bit of context and gives you this kind of big picture of the culture. And there are overlaps. It helps to see beyond the specificity of the siddhas in Tamil Nadu into this broader sense of the culture of the siddhas also, because it mentions there Valmiki and Narada, two let's say saints that are referenced a lot in Hindu culture more broadly. Mentions Patanjali, Dhanvantari, who is let's say I think he's referred to even as the kind of the deity of Ayurveda, you know, the aspect of the divine that is invoked in Ayurveda. He's also referred to as one of the siddhas. And Dakshinamurti, an aspect of Shiva, is also there as one of the gurus or disciples in the chart of Siddha. So you've got this interconnectedness that you see, rather than just this very particular isolated sense of, a peculiar culture of the Siddhas in Tamil Nadu. It seems specially focused on longevity, even immortality of the body, which we might be interested in, or we might find weird, and we might feel it's not really related to our day-to-day experience. But having this broader sense of the interconnection of the Siddha culture of Tamil Nadu with the broader Siddha culture, because there's also overlap. Others that are mentioned there are Matsyendranath, Gorakshanath, who are key figures in the development of Hatha Yoga. And they're referred to in the Tamil Siddha tradition as Machamuni and Gorakar. So slightly different names, but it is believed that it's the same Siddhas that are referred to. Their life stories have convergences, and so it seems to just be a different name that they're known by in Tamil Nadu. I've just remembered to also do the recording on Otter, where I can have the transcript. I get a transcript from this from Zoom anyway, but then using Otter to do the transcript gives the summary. So do that. So that gives you just a little quick summary of what's been covered in the Portuguese teacher training class recently relating to the Siddhas. Any questions on that? Anything that's come up for you relating to that? Okay. All right. Then what we can do a little practice. And I want to draw attention to the fact that the last practice we did in the here in the English teacher training group, I guided the process a little differently. And I think it's worth, as part of the intention in this program, is for you to be able to teach the grace flow meditation or an adaptation of it. Listening to variations in how it's guided can give you insight into the more subtle aspects of it. Because if you just hear the explicit words each time, it's easy to get a sense of, well, the meditation is when you say these words and follow these guidelines. But there are reasons behind those particular words. There's reasons for the structure. And so in the variations, you can get some hints of the purpose also. Perhaps what I'll do is actually, before we do the practice, I will read a short text of Boganathar, and then we'll do a meditation. Come back to the text with some commentary of it as well. Okay. This is a verse. This is a text that actually just has one verse. Jnana Chuttiram 1. Translated as the axiom of wisdom 1. Listen, out of love, I speak about the one single letter, which is not understandable in verse, but grasped in one stroke by sharing, which I tell has a visible sign of two beautiful curls of a letter, felt to be the mark of the divine beautiful woman of wisdom. If you chant it daily, by renouncing everything and being fond of abiding the mind in meditation, then mother and father would come under your sway. Know that the whole universe cannot challenge you. I'll read the summary of it. By uttering the one letter, which is inexpressible in language, which has two curls of a letter in it, which is a divine mark of wisdom, which is Om, and if one renounces everything in the world and meditates daily on it, Shiva and Shakti and the whole universe will be under one's sway. The sacred syllable Om, which in Tamil has two curls in it. What I'm going to do actually is, again, different to what I had in mind. I'm going to read the commentary as well. Then we'll do the meditation. And then I'll read the verse again. Just the verse, not the summary commentary, just the verse. Bogar calls this verse the axiom of wisdom, Jnana Chuttiram, which is the mantra Om. So Om is the axiom of wisdom. In Tamil language and literature, Om is called the single letter, or Or Elutu in Tamil. This verse speaks about the significance of Om, by meditation on which one gains mastery over the microcosm and the macrocosm. By meditating on Om, one acquires a power which destroys all the fetters of humanity and thereby liberates human beings from the cycle of births and deaths. By renouncing everything in the world and concentrating and meditating on the basic mantra Om, the practitioner becomes a Jivan Mukta, one liberated while living. You become I'm adapting slightly what I'm reading to make it because the tendency in a lot of the literature is to speak of it as in the masculine. Now I'm trying to make it neutral, a language that is equal to masculine practitioners, feminine practitioners. But the term here is he becomes a man of equanimity. So ultimately, you embody this sense of equanimity as a result. In this verse, the terms father and mother indicate Shiva, the static principle, and Shakti, the dynamic principle. That is, all the principles of the universe will come under the sway of the saint, thereby making him or her a Siddha par excellence. By saying that the one single letter is not understandable in verse, Bogar says that even poetry, where intense spiritual experiences can be verbalized, cannot express adequately the significance of that one letter, which can be known only by felt experience. And now it refers to a different Siddha and his verses relating to this. Shivakyad uses two rare expressions, that which has no grammar and that which has gone beyond the pure Tamil word, to refer to the indescribable nature of the felt experience. Felt experiences cannot be translated adequately in expressible language. Our language is but a broken light to convey the meaning of felt experiences. Only by sharing, one can indicate the meaning of such experiences. Sharing is the one and only way of understanding the great felt truths, which in essence is intimate appreciation. Intimate appreciation is felt explanation. The term "I share with you" suggests that only by empathy one can understand such inexpressible experiences. You can think of tantric yoga, Kriya yoga, Kundalini yoga initiations, diksha, as being a form of this sharing. The term Shaktipat is a reference to this sharing, not just of a teaching or a technique, but a sharing of the experience, a being brought into the experience itself. So it's more than being given a map or a system. It is also being brought into, you could say, the vibration, the quality of consciousness, the quality of energy, the energetic aliveness, the frequency, the expansion of consciousness, all of this expansion of energy associated with realization. All of this is a component of the sharing. And so this is also what's referred to as an empowerment. You know, it is said in the Tibetan tradition that you can't just receive the teachings or techniques without an empowerment. And so it's the subtle dimension of the sharing. The expression "divine, beautiful woman of wisdom" refers to the Kundalini energy. The Bija Akshara, the basic letter or mantra of Kundalini, residing at the Muladhara, the base chakra, is Om. The Kundalini is always symbolized as a divine, beautiful woman of wisdom in Siddha literature. The Siddhas address the Kundalini always as a woman. Valaipin, the snake woman. Jnanama, woman of wisdom. Kanama, dear mother. Atal, the great woman. Kami, the lady love. Shakti, female energy, are some of the expressions used by the Siddhas while addressing the Kundalini Shakti. There was a verse at the end of last class in the selection of verses by Idaikadar, or Idaikatu Chittar. There was a reference to Om and to, you could say, awakening to the vibration. It's in some sense a way of saying also awakening to the eternal and awakening to the potency of the divine. There is an equivalence in the idea of transmitting Shakti, transmitting the potency, transmitting the the awakened prana, the kundalini itself in initiation, and transmitting the Om vibration. I think I've said this before here, but it's easy to think of Om in the common context of a sound we create when intoning a mantra. But Om is more than the sound we create. Om is the totality of vibration, the totality of energy in all manifestation. So the universe is Om. All of creation is Om. And you could think of when you have the, you could say cosmology of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the creative force, the force that sustains, the force that dissolves, these three aspects of existence. All of that is also Om. It is the arising, the sustaining in vibration, and the dissolving. Om is Shakti, and it is referred to as Shakti Om. I invite you to bring awareness to the breath and to the body. Allow yourself to settle in. Feeling the sense of support, the body supported. Finding the inner sense of structure that holds you upright, even while you relax. Finding the sense of structure and also the kind of organic upwardness, like a plant moving towards the sun, reaching for the light, expressing itself, growing in this upward movement to the light. We can find in ourselves, even as we relax, this aliveness expressing itself as verticality. And we can experience this aliveness as light, as intelligence, as vibration, as divine potency, as wisdom, as love, and as Om. Not just an Om that is heard, but an Om that is all pervasive, that is the underlying vibration of existence. A vibration that is not just waves, just energy, but is also experienced as bliss. As ecstasy of divine communion. And we can experience this aliveness as we rest in the sense of presence, the connection with earth, the physical sensation of being here at rest, supported in connection with the earth element, but also deepening the sense of presence, including but extending beyond the physical sense of presence, a subtle sense of presence that pervades without being limited by space and time and form, a pervasive beingness that has no beginning or end. A beingness that is all-inclusive. And again, can be experienced as a divine joy, a divine love, or as an absolute quietude, a silence, a depth of restfulness, a peace. And while it may be easier to remember, recognize this quality of presence when we come to rest, when we close our eyes, when we have a moment without activity or engaging with others, we can also allow for this quality of beingness, of aliveness, of empowered divine presence to be arising unconditionally. For our sense of self to not be a barrier, for our sense of self to be transparent, translucent, for our sense of self to be a channel, portal, a gateway, a fountain of this divine energy, divine blessedness. So we melt in this flow, in this radiance, in this love, becoming the flow of grace, the radiance of light and love and grace. And as you engage your senses, whether it's the sense of touch, the sounds that you bring attention to, you can be sensing and listening and tasting with a new quality of presence, a celebratory awareness, a joyful sense of communion while engaging with the play of the senses, the play of sensations, the sense of time and space. So it doesn't feel like a contained space, but a rich, alive, fluid, radiant, glow of beingness. Mm. And in this way, we can, you could say, recognize the true form of reality, recognize the true form of our being as radiance. Could say that we are practicing seeing things as they are. So that reality can be revealed more and more spontaneously, unveiled. I will read the verse from Bogar, Boganathar, the axiom of wisdom. Jnana Chutiram. Listen. Out of love, I speak about the one single letter, which is not understandable in verse, but grasped in one stroke by sharing, which I tell has a visible sign of two beautiful curls of a letter, felt to be the mark of the divine, beautiful woman of wisdom. If you chant it daily, by renouncing everything, and be fond of abiding the mind in meditation, then mother and father would come under your sway. Know that the whole universe cannot challenge you. The image that's in the background in the here is of Boganathar. Is there anything you'd like to share about how you feel, how this practice, what it brought for you?
I must honestly admit that I have a bit problems to let go of my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the moment you started with the meditation, I felt so tired. Maybe some resistance also, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, did the verse and the commentary bring anything up. It's possible that there would have been useful to explore that before going into the meditation. Perhaps maybe we're still processing something, and then you weren't fully ready to just go into the meditation because of what was being digested. It's
Yeah,
possible.
I don't know. The verse is not so long. Maybe could you read it again?
Yeah,
Is that possible? Yeah.
yeah. If any of you have the book, The Yoga of Siddha Boganathar, this is on page 81 in the edition I have. Jnana Chutiram. Listen, out of love, I speak about the one single letter, which is not understandable in verse, but grasped in one stroke by sharing, which I tell has a visible sign of two beautiful curls of a letter, felt to be the mark of the divine, beautiful woman of wisdom. If you chant it daily by renouncing everything and be fond of abiding the mind in meditation, then mother and father would come under your sway. Know that the whole universe cannot challenge you. The expression here, under your sway, you could say that it means to come under your influence. And so it's a way of saying also that you go from being subject to karma, you go from being in a process of living out consequences of the past, living out consequences of the, let's say, the natural tendencies of the elements, of the conditioned structure, into a freedom in which everything comes under your influence instead of you being under the influence of the subconscious, is also a way of putting it, you know. It's not just about becoming powerful, it's about becoming awake.
I also understand that, I don't know if this verse is just what reciting the Om or mantra or sound in general, but especially the last sentence, the universe cannot challenge you when you practice when you practice all the time to have this vibration, or when you recite the sound, then you become liberated. Yeah, yeah. And there will be no challenges anymore. It's hard to believe. It's from a
Yeah,
human point of view, but yeah,
yeah,
but it's one of the powers, yeah, to vibrate in, yeah, alignment with the universe, and then
yeah,
there are no challenges anymore. Yeah, just,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If we to the extent that we see ourselves as separate, we see ourselves in opposition to our surroundings to some extent, to the extent that we see ourselves as existing in a limited space-time body that is subject to, let's say, our human understanding of the laws of nature. To the extent that we live within those conceptual structures and identify with them, being limited in time, space, physicality, causality, to the extent that we accept those as absolute, we, you could say, accept, you could even say that we create challenges that come with that. They're inherent to that perspective. And to the extent, inversely, that we dissolve the sense of self, the felt experience, into just pure aliveness, divine potency, the sense of self shifts into something that cannot be challenged. There is no other to challenge it, even.
Mm-hmm. It's like I posted that video in the group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see it?
Yeah, and that's totally related. The sense of
Yeah.
separation, you, I, yeah,
Yeah. Where you say like it's ridiculous because there's no other.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And also, like, there are two things that I find for me remarkable is like that old man said, I don't meditate, like in a way, like I'm not sitting down to find stillness, which is rather like I am the meditation. Yeah. And
yeah,
then the other thing is that the Siddhas took drugs. That, yeah, it's kind of giving me an ease, like for my humanness, you know. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah, it's okay if I don't meditate also, yeah. you,
yeah,
you don't have to, yeah, there are different ways of experiencing what reality is, yeah, of experiencing the universe. Mhm.
yeah. Um, One way to think of it is that we're seeking naturalness, we're seeking truth, or you could say, when I say seeking, we are yearning for, we're naturally wanting to grow into, you could say organically wanting to grow into the sense of wholeness. And that is like another way of saying we're seeking truth, seeking reality, seeking liberation. There are different ways of saying the same thing. There is an organic
Yeah.
movement into pure beingness. The issue of like, should we practice meditation or any other discipline, any sadhana? The relationship to the teachings, the sadhana, is a tricky thing, because we can turn a gift into a burden. We can turn an opportunity into a problem. We can turn a resource into a weight, into a weapon we use against ourselves. So it's all about how we're relating to the resources.
Yeah.
Meditation can either be something that we use skillfully and therefore can benefit from, as a nurturing um, a nurturing experience, an expansive experience, a process that is healing. Or it can be this burden of something that we feel like we have to do it and we're supposed to do it, and then we struggle to do it, and it doesn't have that quality when engaged with in that way. And so it's always important to see how are we engaging with everything, whether it's a spiritual practice or a supposedly mundane activity. How are we engaging with it? Because the quality of engagement can turn everything into that meditative communion the quality of engaging with anything can become that sense of communion. And to the extent that that's what we're experiencing, that's what's arising naturally, to the extent that that is happening, it's senseless to even think of, let's say, adding a meditation to the sense of communion. But we have to be honest with ourselves about whether we are, let's say, escaping from a practice, or whether we are escaping from being liberated from a burden. You know, we have to have that discernment. Like, what's moving me towards something? What's moving me away from something? And for example, we may have the intention to, like, tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. I'm going to sit and meditate. And we might find ourselves actually getting up and then feeling, actually, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go for a walk. And the rational mind saying, no, that's not my commitment. My commitment is to sit and meditate. And yet there's this impulse, I'm going to go out for a walk. And so are we being undisciplined by going out for the walk? Or are we moving organically with our intuition? Are we moving with the blessings of the life force? Are we opening to divine communion in the fluidity of life's current? And the answer can only be found in the discernment in the moment, because it could be that we are being guided into a blessedness in the movement, in that spontaneous arising. Or it could be that we're afraid to face something and we don't want to sit in quietness, because then we have to face things. And we don't want to do that. So we'll distract ourselves with going for a walk. Like, it could be either of those things. It can only know by listening in the moment what's moving us, We need to practice the discernment, the observing with a radical courage to face whatever might be there. And also, the advantage, benefits of a consistent practice is that it can make it easier for us to be gaining the courage to face whatever is under the surface. It can be a strengthening of our courage, our ability to consistently look our fear in the face, to challenge it, to move beyond the restraining effects of fear, the self-sabotaging effects of fear. And so there can be a period in which, let's say, struggling a bit with practice can build up a strength, a courage, a capability. And it can lead to, like was exemplified in the video you shared, it can lead ultimately to a place of such natural wholeness that there is a sense of, well, I don't meditate, because there's no extra practice required in order to feel whole and in divine communion. But it can take practice to no longer need to practice.
Yeah.
If we make the idea of no practice a decision, like, I prefer this, it can be a trick that we play on ourselves. Like, oh, I'll go for I prefer the option with no effort, and either that can come from a place of flow, a flow into an openness. What blessings can I receive when I'm just open to the divine at every moment, not just when I sit down and close my eyes, but at every moment. You know, it can be that radical openness. You could say that I refuse to sit and meditate because I refuse to stop meditating at any moment. I sit to meditate, I'm telling myself I'm not meditating, I'm not open to the divine at the rest of, so I refuse to do that. I refuse to separate, you know. That would be one approach. And but we may find ourselves sometimes having to acknowledge, well, actually I've been a bit disconnected. My intention may have been to be radically open, fully connected all the time, but I've been kind of disconnected. I'm starting to feel the consequences of that. Sitting would be helpful. You know, it's a matter of that discernment to see what's true, where is the blessing to be found.
Peter, I have to go in 1 minute. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I have another meeting at 7. So
okay. Is there anything you'd like to share before we complete?
Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I just saying I still have 1 or 2 minutes if you still want to close.
Okay.
Since I'm the only student, I cannot just drop out.
Yeah, but it's I can read another after you finish to complete the hour, because we started at 6:05 more or less. I can read a few more verses, and then later you can come back to the recording and listen to those verses. Yeah.
Okay then.
All right. Big hug.
Ciao. Namaste.
Namaste. See you Monday.
Yeah, see you tomorrow, no?
Tomorrow. I'm getting the days confused. Thank you. Yeah.
I
Tomorrow.
also noticed that actually midday in summer is better. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, especially with meditation, it's like 6 o'clock. It's not physically, I think, not the right. Yeah. Anyway, blah
Okay.
blah.
Good. All right.
Ciao. See you tomorrow. Ciao.
Bye, Paula. Okay. So, for those watching the recording, I will share another set of verses from Boganathar. And we can next time go into a deeper contemplation, analysis, unveiling of the meanings within these verses. So the first poem or verse in the book, the Yoga of Siddha Boganathar, is the one that I read earlier, Jnana Chuttiram. And I'll read the next one here, which is Shiva Yoga Jnanam. Shiva Yoga Jnanam 12. Wisdom of Shiva Yoga 12. The number is referred to, the number of verses is referred to here to indicate within the title the number of verses that are in the poem. So verse 1. Through Ganeshan, one will get a subtle indication of the light at the base of the small channel, which will unite one without entanglement at the Svadhisthana. That's the second chakra, where you acquire wisdom through the glorious Asabha mantra. This is the superconscious state of the soul, Vedanta, which is silence itself. So do not be dejected, for the mantra will not be lost without observing it. Do not get confused as to which is the head or which is the foot. The role of the Sushumna is not unnecessary. So there's plenty to unveil in these words. But for now, I'll read the summary of each of these verses that in some sense gives you a recap. And then, so I'll read the verse and the summary of the verse. A lot of it is pretty much repetition, but that's okay, I think, because they're pretty rich and dense. And then there's the commentary, which next time we can come back to. So the summary of verse 1. There is a power or light at the base of the spinal column, which is called Ganapati, experiencing which one will get united at the genital region, at Svadhisthana, through the glorious mantra called Hamsa mantra. This is achieved through a nadi, energy channel called Sushumna, which will take one to the superconscious state of the self, which is a silent state of the soul. Verse 2. Inside oneself is the silent Manipura chakra. See where Janaki as Lakshmi, along with Vishnu, abide as light or energy. Have a benign look of the flower blossomed as Vayu, air, in the Anahata chakra, and experience the effulgent energy of Rudra. See the fineness of the splendor called Vishuddha chakra, and enjoy the experience of the majestic Maheshvara. Look at the luminous light of the Manonmani Sadashiva continuum in the everlasting Agnya chakra, exhibiting existence, intelligence, and bliss. Satchit Ananda. Summary of verse 2. One can experience inside oneself, through Kundalini Yoga, the Manipura chakra, where Lakshmi and Vishnu reside. The Manipura chakra being the third chakra. The Anahata chakra, where Rudra and Parvati reside. The heart chakra. The Vishuddha chakra, where Maheshvara and Maheshwari reside. The throat chakra. And in the everlasting Agnya chakra, the third eye chakra, where the Manonmani Sadashiva continuum resides, exhibiting Sat, existence, Chit, intelligence or consciousness, and Ananda, bliss. Verse 3, translation. To kindle the prana through the right nostril in the same manner for all times to come, listen to the one method which I suggest with concern. One should eat only one time a day without caring for the enjoyment of the 6 tastes of the palate. Restrain even the saliva water, which is good for health. In the same way, abstain from chewing betel nut and betel leaf. Keep the head resting on the left hand while sleeping, as Pingala runs through the right nostril. Summary. To activate the Pingala, the subtle psychic artery at the right nostril, one has to refrain from taking food more than once a day. Control the enjoyment of the 6 tastes of the palate. Control even swallowing the saliva, thereby restraining taking water. And refrain from chewing betel nuts and betel leaves. It is always good to go to sleep with the head resting on the left arm, since Pingala is on the right side of the Sushumna. Again, there are things that in the commentary will become more clear, but for now I'm just taking you through verse by verse. Next time we can explore more deeply the meaning of the text. Verse 4. The yoga of absorption, which is a translation for Laya Yoga. The yoga of absorption is the yoga of the realization of Shiva. To sustain this experience, join the breath in the Pingala Nadi. Open it in the Ida, left nostril. Receive and take breath through the copious Rechaka, the exhalation, and make it supreme or exalted. To liberate oneself, blow open the upper threshold, then go to sleep. Sleep, silently sleep. Yet be awake to experience the self luminous in that state of silent sleep. Stand exalted in the pranava and attain quietude. Summary. The yoga of absorption is the yoga of realizing Shiva. This coalescence consists in sustaining the practice of breathing in the Pingala. By this, one attains a state of sleepless sleep, a state where the senses are asleep and where the consciousness is awake and alert. In it, one witnesses self-luminous reality and attains quietude in the state of pranava, Om. To liberate oneself, one has to open the upper threshold, Brahmarandra, at the crown. Open this upper doorway by concentrating on it while one inhales upwards through Ida, left nadi, and exhale completely and forcefully through it to reach the supreme state. Verse 5. And I'll read only up to verse 5 today. 7 more verses that we can cover next time. Verse 5. Concentrate and meditate daily on the Ajna Chakra. You experience there the stream of ego consciousness reduced to nothing by beating the 5 senses and driving them away. My dear, hit through the upper threshold and enter it where the blissful ambrosial juice oozing from the moon will trickle drop by drop. Those who experience the taste of the juice will be free from death. O friend, words will fail to grasp this samadhi state. My child, all forms of expression will be only indicators to it. Summary of verse 5. By concentrating and meditating daily on the Ajna Chakra, one will feel and the control of the 5 senses. There's something wrong with the text here. I think what's intended is, let's see, I'll just read this again and try to read what I think was intended. By concentrating and meditating daily on the Ajna Chakra, the third eye chakra, one will feel the control of the 5 senses and their enjoyment, the absence of ego. If the ego is denied and the senses controlled, one will be able to open the upper threshold called Sahasrara, crown, enjoying the ambrosial juice oozing from it and liberating oneself from the fear of death. This is called the state of samadhi. which is inexpressible. And the many forms of expression describing the state of samadhi are indicators of it without being that one itself. Okay. So that's all for today. Wishing blessings and see you tomorrow. Big hug.